All right. Well, thank you all for being here. And of course, thanks to Jamie. I don't see him anywhere. Oh, right there in the front. Thanks to Jamie for having us up here.
We love you.
We love you, Jamie. We all love you, especially the woman next to you. So my name is Sheila Gulati. I run a VC fund that is enterprise software focused called Tola Capital. We are here to hear from the fabulous and undeniably successful Jess Ma. And I will say, as by way of bio, she is the founder and the CEO of InDinero. She flew herself here to come to the conference, so also a pilot. She will be DJing the event after this. So we have a very, very interesting CEO up here and the objective of the session is...
I promise I actually work and, do CEO stuff too.
The objective of the session is to get very deep with Jess. And so let's start by the moment that something that women often don't do enough. Let's establish credibility as quickly as possible. Jess, give us all the impressive stats on your business, and then we're gonna keep going.
So I started InDinero. We do accounting and taxes for our businesses. And the idea is that accounting and tax, really boring. No one likes doing it. How do you make it sexy? How do you make it really fun and easy for a business owner? And started it 10 years ago, went through Y Combinator, and today we'll do in the tens of millions in revenue. We're roughly break even. We'll be profitable most of this year.
Many tens.
I'm really proud about it, but I'm also, I still feel similar to how I felt when I was getting started, which is vulnerable. I still have imposter syndrome and a lot of that other stuff too. But yeah, I am proud of what we've created, and I'm really happy to also not really have any VCs breathing down my neck. I mean, I'm the majority owner of InDinero.
The vast majority owner.
Yeah, which is killer.
We'll get into the data. So tell us about your childhood influences. I think we want to begin at the beginning, because there is a sort of a picture of how you got to this place that we'd love to build.
Yeah, well, I always kind of wanted to be a programmer when I was a kid. So my first thing I wanted to be was a pilot. So I told my mom I wanted to be a pilot. She's like, no. And eventually got to programmer, and she's like, no, you want to be a business owner one day. And I wasn't a really good student. I mean, I got horrible grades. I got sent to the principal's office a bunch of times. Did anyone here use ratemyteacher.com? So I was the lead moderator for ratemyteacher.com. And so the principal's calls me and my mom in, and it's like, you have to take all these bad reviews of our teachers down. I'm like, free speech, man, and my mom's like, please, why can't you just behave, Jess? Anyway, so I got in trouble a lot, and...
How'd you learn to code?
I went to computer camp. They're computer programming camps. So my dad sent me away to one when I was 12. And
did you want to go, or?
I did want to go. I was really happy there, and that's probably the best thing I did in my childhood.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Good credit for the parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the founding journey? So you're 20 years old.
Yeah. So just real quick on high school. I didn't make it through high school. I went for about a year and a half. Technically dropped out. Went to this early college program called Simon's Rock. Not many people know about it, but it's part of Bard. Awesome, cute little school. I met one of my co-founders and my first ever roommate, Andrea, who's sitting right here. And we were randomly paired up as college roommates there when I was 16. And then I went to Berkeley after that, and then finished when I was still 19.
So graduated Berkeley at 19. That's kind of slacker.
Yeah, but
But how did you turn it around, actually? Having these issues in high school or not, dropping out, doing those things?
So I was a straight C student when I was in 9th grade. And then I found a private school advisor online who told me about this early college program. And she's like, hey, if you just get your shit together this year, then we could probably get you out of high school. So I said, hallelujah. And I worked really hard for a year. I got good grades until I got in. And then I got in, and then I worked really hard there so I could get into Berkeley. And then once I got into Berkeley, I was back to being a straight C student again.
Amazing.
So that's why I couldn't get a job after college. You know, my classmates.
Did you try to get a job?
I didn't because I knew I wouldn't get a good one. So I had to start a company was kind of the logic, because I could fake it as an entrepreneur, you know?
All right. Tell us about the founding moments, shall we say?
Yeah, well, it was really cool how in college, there are a lot of grant programs that give you money for no equity for your business. So I came up with this idea for doing a mint.com for businesses. That was the original concept. Mint was, you know, the big personal finance management platform that got bought by Intuit. And everyone talked about it in the day, if you remember. And so I thought, oh, let's just do Mint for businesses. It just sounded really cool. So that was the idea. And I got Lightspeed Venture Partners. They're in the Bay Area. They gave us $36,000 as a summer grant. So instead of taking a summer internship between my junior and my senior year, I got to do that to get started.
And then did you start that alone, or were you with others?
I had one other co-founder named Andy. So we were friends from Berkeley, just doing computer science projects together. And then we brought on my roommate, Andrea, after graduating.
What is your philosophy on co-founders? What's your philosophy on kind of, you know, we heard some advice on the last panel. How do you think about it?
I mean, I think it was really nice to have that support. But what also happens as time goes on, like Andrea ended up starting her own company. And then my other co-founder, Andy, started his company. And now I'm all by myself. But it's okay. I find other support. Like, I have a lot of friends in the room here who I call on when I'm depressed or whatever. And yeah, so I don't think it's necessary, but it is good emotional support. And you know, Andrea, I don't know how I would have done it without her. She really did help me.
Yes, friends along the way, right?
Yeah.
So you start the company. Your first employee, true or false, hire off Craigslist?
Yeah, we hired this guy named Jose off Craigslist. Sorry, Jose, if you're listening to this. But yeah, he did everything. He was doing customer service. He did accounting work for.
But what was the ad? Tell us about placing that ad. And then did you get a lot of people? Were some looking for other things?
Yeah, I mean, Craigslist is a mixed bag, guys. I mean, we got a lot of bad stuff. And well, we ended up finding this Jose guy who Andrea actually didn't like at first. She's like, oh, he's a bit weird. So I bring him in, and he's still with us. I mean, he runs my Philippines office, which has
is a huge office.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 340 employees there. We have 300 employees in the company now. We'll probably grow to 500 this year, headcount-wise, and hopefully still stay profitable. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have expectations? You're starting this business, you're 20 years old. Did you have real expectations for what it would become, or were you kind of taking it step by step?
I had really big dreams. Does anyone here like The Secret? Yeah. Right? I'm a huge manifester. So, you know, I remember going through my summer internship program with Lightspeed, working on the Mint for Business idea. And, you know, I'm there in the office, sleeping on the ground under the desk. And I'm like, I'm going to be a future billionaire. And I'm imagining, you know, the yachts and planes, everything. And then I'm like eating ramen. I mean, like, so I didn't have expectations for it, but I just really, you know, do the manifesting stuff that you guys could, you know, and I still do that every day. Like in the shower this morning, I put on like a manifesting YouTube video, which I know this is so embarrassing. I can't believe I'm admitting it.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, I just imagine what it feels like to be successful and to have what I want, even if I'm like really far away. It works. I did that to manifest love, you know, boyfriend. I did that to manifest a whole bunch of other things.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It works.
More manifesting. That's what we're hearing. We're hearing.
And then I hired a manifesting coach and a psychic, and yeah.
These are all tips I hope people are writing down. Everyone needs a psychic.
Very scientific here.
Very scientific. Okay, so you get going. You actually have good luck raising angel money. Can you talk about that process?
Yeah, it helped a lot to go through Y Combinator. They did really help me out because back then, coming out of college, I didn't have any connections. And so we raised $1 million coming out of Y Combinator. And we were ranked, I think, number 2 in the batch after Hitmonk. And then after that,
What were most of those angel conversations like? Were those easy? Were those long? You know, how did that come together?
I was really nervous at first because I hadn't done it before. And I'd been to conferences where I'd see a panel of VCs talk about it. And it seemed like really intimidating to me still. And I don't know, how do you guys feel like hearing the last panel? Was that like, all right, cool, like really exciting, or more like, all right, this is still hard work? Right? I mean, for me, it like scared the shit out of me. So honestly, and no, the last panel, great advice, by the way, actually. Like I do agree with everything there. It's just seeing the panels was intimidating for me. And so what I did was I just tried to build authentic relationships with people, and then I got them to back me, even though I had no revenue or, you know, really not a whole lot of progress. So it's just about getting
nobody else in your cohort probably did either, just to remember.
Right.
Right. So again, we talked about this a few times, you're holding yourself to a bar higher than the rest of the program, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. But then the problem is after the angel round, then, you know, we're burning money back then. I didn't have a profitable business. And then what do? You raise like a Series A, supposedly, right?
Right.
And
so how was that?
Horrible. No one gave me money. No one wanted to back us. And, you know, I really didn't
How many VCs did you pitch? Like, can you give us a little bit of the...
I mean, I maybe pitched like
the
15.
gory details? Okay.
Of course, they're all old white guys, and it's like really fucking annoying. Well, I love Jamie, though. Jamie's a good one.
Don't worry. Don't worry. All old white guys in this room are obviously very cool. So it's cool.
Well, look, at the time, I was, 21, 22, and, you know, I still had very low self-esteem. I wasn't very confident or super aggressive. I somehow faked my way to raising $1 million and being top of my YC
But from really, really
batch.
good angels. Top of the YC batch, really great angels, graduated Berkeley at 20. Like, we're, you know.
Right, but then how did I get there, right? Like, I failed high school, so I had to go to an early college program. Like, these are the parts of the story that they didn't know, but I know, right? And then I was a straight C student, and then, you know, and then I
This is where the
faked my
best
way to raise
inventions
money.
come from. Best inventions are from necessity, right? So
Absolutely, I guess so. But the point is, like, there's a pattern in my life. If you look at the resume, it's
it's an anti-pattern, don't worry.
right. So yeah, the raising the round like didn't go so well. So that's when I really invested my effort into finding ways to be really capital efficient. So that meant Philippines, getting all my programmers offshore, and that worked. I mean, I saved so much money doing that, doing more of our customer service and accounting work that we hadn't yet automated away. We still do a ton of that in the Philippines. And then our US staff, most of them are not in San Francisco. I have 25, 30 people in San Francisco. And then everyone else is in the Midwest or in Portland. There are ways to really be more cost effective. And I had to do that. I had no choice. And that's why we're break even now.
It's amazingly impressive. Did you go back then to the venture community later in the story?
I never really went back to the venture community. We ended up just taking more money from angels and family offices along the way, which is really painful in some ways because all of my friends and peers, they're raising huge mega growth rounds. My angel investors are thinking, like, are you an idiot? Just like, why aren't you raising more money? Why aren't you like what's wrong with the company? And so I had to deal with that a lot.
So what's the answer? Like, how do you combat that? Because you're actually performing from a business perspective, yet you're not able to raise, you're not able to do these things. Can we unpack that?
Well, I mean, I was so embarrassed that I couldn't really face that directly. I couldn't really admit that to people. So I just focused on execution, and I just said, hey, look, this is how I want to grow the business. Even though that's not how I wanted to grow the business. I wanted to raise money and be able to say, hey, look, Sequoia backed me. I'm a fucking badass. And, you know, but obviously that wasn't the case. So,
Well, obviously it is the case, obviously.
well, instead, so I said, all right, well, since I can't have that, I didn't want it anyway. Instead, I'm really proud to, grow profitably and own more of my business. So I had to construct this narrative around being proud of my circumstances, which now I'm genuinely proud about, but back then I was not proud about. I hope I get invited back next year, Jamie.
I think he decides at the end.
Okay, good.
So were there any moments where it was just kind of like you thought it was the end? And how did you dig in and get the resilience, or who did you depend upon, or how did you kind of pull out from those moments of horror, troughs of despair?
I've had several of those. I mean, one that I still remember really well is I was driving to Andrea's place. We were in the car, if you remember. And she asked me, what are we going to do? Because we're running out of money and we didn't have product market fit and we had no revenue. And I just told her, I don't know, we'll just figure it out somehow. And I've had that several times. So.
But what did it make you stronger each time? Did the resilience grow? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the resilience grows because then you live to fight another day and then you survive and then it's like, okay, cool, I'm a cockroach, I could do anything. And Paul Graham talks about that, the YC overlord. He's like, be a cockroach, like don't let anyone kill you. And then that Kool-Aid, you drink it enough, it really sticks with you. And then the manifesting stuff, go back to YouTube and
it's full
think about
circle.
the yachts and the planes and the.
We're watching cockroaches on YouTube later.
Yeah.
That's going to be excellent. And so now, when you think about going forward, what's your vision for the business first? Let's start with.
Yeah, well, now I want to build a huge business out of it. Now that I've gotten this far, why would I sell and start all over again? I mean, we could build the next Intuit, a company, worth tens of billions of dollars that really changes the way that everything in fintech is done. Or, I mean, I don't have the full story exactly figured out, but now that I've been at this so long, the idea of having to start all over from the beginning again is just, really unappealing.
Starting over at 30.
Yeah. To go back and figure out product market fit and hire people off Craigslist and, all that. It's a lot.
What's your vision for your life?
I mean, my vision for my life is I want to make really big impact on, millions or billions of people. And I want to do as much of that as possible through InDinero, but I know that most of it's not going to be through InDinero at some point, and I don't have it all figured out yet.
Any kind of pieces that might be there? Anything you're manifesting for kind of the rest of your life as you think forward?
Yeah, there is. I mean, right now I am advising a few, mega philanthropist donors and, doing stuff that I'm not yet super excited to talk about yet because again, imposter syndrome, who am I to help advise how billions of dollars are being spent right now? And
how do we get rid of some of the imposter syndrome?
I mean, I think here I'm leaning more towards being candid, right? Because this is how I feel, but the way I actually act, my mom says, Jess, this is 2 nights ago, I'm having dinner with her in New York. She's like, you're so arrogant and cocky, you think you own the world, blah, blah, blah. So I get that too. So it's all right, do I have imposter syndrome or am I too arrogant? What is it?
The women often live at the extremes, right?
Yeah.
And nothing is sort of acceptable, so you have to define what's acceptable for you.
Right, exactly. So I mean, in practice, I'm probably in between most of the time and try to just be, as was mentioned in the last panel, just be unapologetic, which I really feel I am in most cases, unapologetically confident, the phrase that resonates with me over and over again.
That's wonderful. What's your parting piece of advice for our audience, your best piece of advice for the audience?
Be a cockroach. And I'd say, build a really solid community and support network. And one thing I've done—
Who's in your support network?
I have some great friends. I mean, other than Andrea, I've got folks like
Andrea is available for all of you.
Yes.
Andrea, we're going to get a station
Folks
going.
like Jess Scorpio, who started Get Around. She's one of my best friends. Lisa Falzone started Revel, the POS system. You know, these are just some examples of amazing women. And
Who are your heroes? You talk about friends, but also tell us.
One of my biggest role models is Sara Blakely. And I love Sara Blakely because she's so sweet. She's so, open to helping people. And she didn't raise money. And, and yet she's like a female billionaire, right? So she didn't raise money and made more money than everyone. Like, okay, so I look at that. I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe the universe is trying to make it so I can't raise money. So I get there.
So you continue to own more of your business.
Right, exactly. And that's hard too, because then I've had people, like, we don't really give out equity in our company, but we don't do that. And that's weird for a lot of people. And I get a lot of shit for that. And Sara doesn't do that, obviously. But like, what else can we do to protect more of our ownership? And that's something I really talk to a lot of founders about.
That's smart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.